Well, hello everyone. Welcome to today's adventure. I'm Jenny. I'm here to bring you nearly all things pertaining to women in or near their prime. In today's episode, I will be revealing the results of my first 30 days on the carnivore diet, my reasons for doing it, and also whether or not I now still think it's a good idea for the perimenopausal woman to endeavor into the carnivore lifestyle. You'll want to stick around until the end for my 3 biggest tips for anyone who does want to give carnivore a try. And just a little forewarning for any of my sensitive viewers out there. In today's video, I will be talking a little bit about bowel movements. So just be aware of that. But in my next video, I will reveal a fun beauty secret based on something you saw in my last video, as well as something that you see in this video. So if you want to check that out, click the link above and stay tuned for the next one to come. But for now, let's jump right into this one. So what exactly is the carnivore diet and why try it? Well, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it is basically a zero-carb diet. You eliminate all plant-based products, all processed foods, seed oils, no fruits, no vegetables, of course, no cakes, cookies, and potato chips. And basically, you eat only meat, animal-based products only, with a focus on high fat. You can, eat eggs and butter and some dairy, hard cheeses, heavy cream, bone marrow broth. Those are on some of the variations of the carnivore diet. The lion diet is the most exclusive variation, and it is nothing but ruminant meats, your red meats, and water and salt. And that is basically it. There are many benefits, but the biggest motivations for most people are weight loss, mood stability, autoimmune deficiency corrections, skin condition corrections like eczema, psoriasis, and allergies. I have personally committed to a 90-day trial run of the variation that allows for the butter and the eggs and a little bit of the dairy, and I've eliminated nearly everything else. I don't even use herbs and spices and seasonings. I've even eliminated pepper. I do just use salt, but I eat all forms of meat and seafood and organ meats. So how does it work? Well, basically when you stop feeding your body carbohydrates, it needs an alternate fuel source to replace the glucose. So you introduce the proteins from the meats and the muscle meats and such. That is your building blocks, but the fat is what your body consumes as its fuel. One big plus on the carnivore diet that I will say I rather enjoy is that even though you're limited as to what you can eat, you're not limited as to how often you can eat. You can eat whenever you want and however much you want. You can eat until you're completely full. You don't have to count calories. You don't have to count macros. So it is very simple, very easy in that regard. And I also found that the further I got into it, the less hungry I became. There was no more binge eating. The cravings went away. And that is, it makes sense when you really think about it, because the proteins that you're consuming are so nutrient dense and they take longer to digest, and it takes a while for it to work its way through. So you're going to be going longer and longer periods of time in between your eating sessions. I did not, for this first 30 days, I did not intentionally build in any intermittent fasting as of yet, but it did just naturally kind of happen. I mean, if my last meal is at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the afternoon or evening, there's frequently times when I don't desire to eat again until breakfast the next morning. So it's really good in that regard. So my reasons for personally giving this diet a try are, number one, I have mood stability issues, coupled with perimenopausal hormonal imbalances. I also have irritable bowel syndrome. It's very, very troublesome and has been for a number of years. And I have severe dry eyes, sinusitis, and allergies, some of which are likely food related, and then also seasonal and other allergies. These things combined are all terrible, and some of them are almost debilitating. I've sought medical care. I've had different treatments, therapies, and medications, some of which helped temporarily, and then things would just come back, resurface. Anyway, yeah, so it's some pretty ugly stuff, and so it made my decision to try this diet pretty easy, because nothing else was working wholly, and nothing else in combination was really working well. I needed my life back. I wanted to see if this would work. How has my journey been for the last 30 days? Well, if I'm going to be honest, I have to say it has not been a piece of cake. Was that a pun? That was a pun. Anyway, it really has had its challenges. I had the keto flu for the first couple of days. That was not pleasant altogether. I had dizziness, I had foggy brain, I developed diarrhea, which, is obviously always uncomfortable. I was lethargic and had to sleep a lot. It really is very much flu-like, but it did quickly pass, and I kept moving on. I would have to say that the pros throughout the 30 days did outweigh the cons enough that I'm determined to keep pushing through the next 30 days. I knew that one of the trickiest parts for me was going to be that I did not need to lose weight, and people on this diet do report significant weight losses, so I knew that I was going to have to focus and pay close attention to what was happening to me there to make sure I was eating enough. So in a way, I did have to kind of pay attention to my calories, and I had to pay attention to the scale a lot more frequently. I lost a little over 50 pounds 2 years ago. Here's a picture of that, the before and after. I've managed to maintain that weight over the last couple of years and keep it off. So with this diet, I didn't want to drop down below 120. That's where I've been. I do fluctuate a pound or two here and there, but basically 120 is my marker, and that's where I wanted to stay. And as of this morning, I weighed myself. I was 118. So I'm not going to bark about a couple of pounds in one direction or the other. I have been able to maintain my weight at a consistent level, and so with that, I'm no longer concerned. I kind of feel like I got a grasp on that, know what I'm doing, and I overcame that little obstacle or fear. But I would like to add that had it been my goal to lose weight, it would have been extremely easy to do so. Probably easier than the combined diet efforts that I used, 2 years ago when I was actively losing weight. And another thing I'd like to say about diet regime that I adhered to when I was actively engaged in weight loss. It worked, and it worked well. I'm not going to go into detail here as to what I did because my focus right now is on the carnivore diet. But I will say that the one thing that that diet plan did not do for me was it did not remedy any of my other concerns and ailments, the irritable bowel syndrome, the menopausal symptoms, the dry eye, the horrible allergies, none of that. And I really wasn't expecting it to. Where with this possible lifestyle change that I'm trying out with carnivore, that is specifically why I'm trying it rather than for weight loss. For example, look at this picture of my eyes. This is exactly what I've been dealing with daily for a couple of years now. I was losing all hope. Not only did I look terrible, it was disturbingly disruptive to my life. It was destroying my skin, not only appearance-wise, but it was painful. It itchy, burning, scratchy, felt like sand in my eyes all the time. Broken skin constantly around my eyes from digging in my sleep. Blurry vision. It was destroying me. And this was very recent, up until I started carnivore. No medical intervention that I tried seemed to help, or at least not much. So I started this carnivore journey on New Year's Eve 2022, exactly 30 days ago. And I want to show you, I hope maybe you can see this if I get up close enough. Look at my eyes today. This is where we're at. My eyes are open, they're wide. Sure, there's still a little bit of puffiness and such, but you can see where I was at before. I didn't have this ability to look at you like this. I am so grateful for what has transpired and transitioned within my body, and especially with the dry eyes. And I've also noticed improvements in the hormonal imbalances, the mood disorder. My allergies are a whole lot better. It's been incredible. You don't know how much your eyes really mean to you until you feel like you're going to lose them. And that is how I felt. And it was terrifying. So yes, this has been life-changing. When I say I had almost lost hope, I really, truly had. I didn't think anything was going to restore my eyes. And now here we are. I'm actually able to wear makeup again for the first time in a couple years. Today, for this video, is the second time I've worn makeup. In my first video, you can check it out. I had makeup on in that one too. And that was the first time. I couldn't put anything on my face, especially my eyes. And I do know for a fact that it is from this diet, because I have tried everything else. And now this protein-rich, high fat, and a lot of omega-3s. I eat tons of mackerel. You can check out the link below where I get that from Amazon. They are, just full of vitamin D and the omega-3s and protein, 20 grams of protein per serving, 770 some milligrams of omega-3s. And I know that that's a lot of what's making a difference. Plus, this diet is impacting my hormones that are off balance. The androgens that the female body converts into estrogen. I'm on estrogen replacement therapy. And so that was one of my big concerns is, is this diet going to kind of interfere with that? But no, it has enhanced everything and made things so much better. A couple of the drawbacks that I'd have to say I've experienced or gone through or am still facing. One of them is that I'm not quite confident enough yet to withdraw or remove my mood stabilizing medications and my hormone replacement therapy medications. I will consult with my physician before I do that, have blood work done, explain to them what I've been doing so that they don't, freak out and try to put me on cholesterol medications, which I would reject. One other small drawback, which isn't really a drawback, it's just something that I haven't reached yet, is that I have not identified any of my food allergens, which I'm sure they exist. I've eliminated everything, but since, I started this diet on New Year's Eve, I committed to 90 days on the diet. So during that time, everything has been eliminated. Only after that point will I begin reintroducing slowly, one food at a time, if I decide to go more towards ketovore diet, if that seems and feels like it might be more sustainable for me. But as I see it right now, this may not be a problem to just continue on carnivore. So we shall see. But I do, if I do that and reintroduce foods, I'll be looking to identify allergens that I know are there, because how could this possibly have cleared me up to such a degree if there wasn't something in the foods that I was eating that was contributing to a lot of the problems I was having? We are what we eat, and I'm being cleansed from the inside out with this. And the worst of all my drawbacks, which isn't really the fault of the carnivore diet, it is my fault entirely. I do take full responsibility for this. But it is that I had a couple of very rough bouts within the last 30 days with constipation. Before you say, oh, I knew if you remove fiber, completely, you're going to end up with constipation. And listen, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of carnivores out there report they do not have a problem with constipation. And I should have known better. I went to school for nursing, and so I can make educated decisions and do research for myself, and I know what I should be doing, but I don't always do, and that's the case with most of us. So many people go around dehydrated constantly, and I'm no exception to that. But because of the irritable bowel syndrome, leaning towards diarrhea most frequently, I didn't think there was any way on the planet that I was ever going to end up constipated. So out of fear and concern that I might flush all of my electrolytes and end up with some problems from that, I didn't drink enough water, and I did not consume enough electrolytes. I was taking extra salt, which you should eat extra salt on everything, but you also need magnesium and potassium. Those minerals get flushed out and need replaced daily. And so as of now, I am drinking, nearly 2 liters of water a day at a minimum. And I've started taking keto chow drops. You can check that out in the link below. They have been great. That is an electrolyte supplement that worked wonders from the very day that I included that to remedy the problem. It was alleviated the very next day. Everything was back to normal, and I'm willing to speculate that by the time I report at the 60-day carnivore mark, this is probably going to be a non-issue. So basically, in a nutshell, what I would say is that I am seeing huge benefits from the carnivore diet that do greatly outweigh the drawbacks. So would I recommend this diet to perimenopausal women or to anyone? Yes, I give this diet a huge thumbs up. So if you're interested in trying the carnivore lifestyle or diet, then hit the like button and subscribe, and comment down below if you are looking into giving it a try. I'm happy to share my experiences, but like I said before, I am not a doctor. I went to school for nursing and still ended up in a totally different career path. I'm just happy to share my experiences to help you along with your own journey. But if you have any concerns medically or otherwise, please, I highly suggest that you do consult a good doctor and clear things with them first if you need to. Here on YouTube, I will say that there has been a lot of benefit that I've discovered from Dr. Ken Berry and his wife, Nurse Nisha. They are medical professionals and they are also carnivore, and they share quite openly a lot of very professional and proof-based facts regarding the carnivore diet. So I'll put a link also here at the end of how you can find him. And there are also many others. Don't hesitate to do a little bit of research and find out what others are saying about this diet as well. Now don't forget that I do have another reveal coming up in my next video. It's a beauty trick that you won't want to miss. It's pretty exciting. It's, based on something you saw in the first video and again in this video. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well. Don't miss it. And as I promised, here are my 3 biggest tips for anyone looking into getting started with the carnivore diet. Number 1 is eat the fat. Yes. Do not let that point go over your head. Don't miss it, kids. Buy the fattiest cuts of meat that you possibly can and do not trim the fat off. Eat it. Add butter, tons of it. Eat a stick of butter a day. Whatever you have to do to get a high fat content into this diet. That is the key, because that is your fuel and that is your friend. Number 2 is to drink water and get your electrolytes. I've already alluded to this and explained what happened to me, but you definitely, I think it's recommended that you drink at least 2 liters of water a day. Make sure you are doing that. Stay hydrated, and the electrolytes are super important. The minerals do a lot of wonderful things for your body, but they will also help make sure you don't get the leg cramps and the constipation. Take it from me, you don't want to have to go through that. So the keto chow drops are good for that. There are other brands that you can check out, or you can make your own electrolytes as well. And on top of everything, salt, salt, salt. Put salt on everything, extra salt. It's also your friend. And then the 3rd biggest tip is to eat whatever meats you can afford. This diet is sustainable for every budget level. You're already going to be saving money from cutting out the chips, cakes, cookies, canned and processed foods, boxed goods, junk, basically. Possibly even fast food that you're not going to be eating anymore. So there's going to be a lot of extra funds sitting there that you can use towards purchasing good cuts of meat. But if you just can't swing that, don't worry about it, okay? Just eat the meat, buy what you can afford. You can go for Vienna sausages, or you can go for the 70-30 big logs of hamburger from Walmart. Tons and tons of options out there for what you can do to make this work for you. I want to, wish you all the best if you do decide to give it a try. And thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.